I'm Rod Duff from Insights and Straight Talk. And with that, folks, I don't know how good of an idea. You like the new trailer, guys? It's coming along. We tried a few different ones. I want to add a couple more shows, those clips. I don't know if I like that backside. One day I was in here and I just was sitting in the studio and there were no lights on or anything. And I looked at the screen. I said, oh, that's kind of a cool look. So I just kind of did it, but just for, I think it was like 5-10 minutes. I don't know if I like that at the end. We're not perfect, but that looks funny. Tell me what you guys think when you look at it, and we'll keep adjusting. We've got 3 shows today. Luckily, one guy rescheduled. We had 4, a couple of them back to back, and I was really nervous about it. But just another challenge in this learning business of podcasts. As you know, this is Insights and Straight Talk. I'm Rod Duff. There are times when producer Barbie comes on. Otherwise, she's usually poking at the chat and or the comments. And then we always have a review after every show. She's in California now, so she's producer Barbie remote. All right. Anyway, you know, we started this for the great middle class. This is about enlightening and subjects that help to enlighten and to inform and to educate and to be, and you know my mantra, man, say hi to somebody. Let's get that communication together. Let's push the middle class, not push, let's gather ourselves together and become a stronger voice than, you know, you see my post. The great middle class is the backbone of America, but yet it's ignored, taken advantage of. The only time we're under consideration is during the political races pretty much time. Now that varies with each administration, but it doesn't necessarily vary depending on the political party. So we need to be stronger because there's a utopia coming. The AI, the stuff is moving. We talk about this a lot. As a matter of fact, Michele, today, I was really excited when I saw some of the things that she wants to talk about and go with. And she's a podcaster, a very good one, very well-known one. So I don't want to, I don't, we may be fighting for each other for mouth time, but I'm going to try and be as professional and capable as I can. She talks about AI, which is awesome. She talks about how to be an influence, how to use and create influencers, our influence in people. There was one thing, dang it, I wish I would have remembered. At the very bottom was something I thought was really interesting. I'll look it up during the thing, and unless you bring it up, because it's off of your Matchmaker FM. With that, I see you shaking your head there. I'm going to bring Michele out from from what I like to call the green room. And we're gonna get going here. It looks like people are already coming on at a pretty good pace. So, Michele, how you doing?
Fine. How are you?
I am doing good. At the very beginning, when we were chatting, when we were both back in the green room, we were talking about, and you were asking as far as introduction coming in, or am I going to just throw you out to the wolves and figure your way through it, or are we going to talk back and forth? And was that a good enough? Was the introduction fair enough?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that.
All right. So at the end of the day, I've been very excited about this. End of the day meaning a statement. I've been very excited about this subject because you have such an additional unique perspective on how to gain certain things within your own environment. And I talk a lot about creating a vibe, you know, that is attracted to other people. And so there's different things that make somebody a leader, good one or bad one. You know, those subjects are what you cover. So let's just kind of dig in. I'm sure some people will be asking some questions, but kind of give me the overview, and by the way, I probably may interrupt every once in a while because, as I say, you know, this is about the middle class, right? So people on here are coming on to learn more than likely sometimes, and a lot of times, new information. So if I'm asking questions, I know the viewers out there can get it because I'm the bottom line. If I get it, anybody can get it, right? So with that, I introduce the great Michele.
Oh, I appreciate that. So I wanted to give a little background of who and what I am. So that way people are like, who is this woman giving me advice about AI and then some?
Exactly.
So I have a company called Baker Creative, and we're a global marketing and PR firm. And we work with a lot of different brands in regards to, how do we get to the marketplace? How do we get heard? How do we better engage with folks? How do we integrate AI? So I will go into large corporations and teach their internal marketing departments how to use AI efficiently and safely. And then in addition, I have also taught I have my business for 20, and then also taught for 15 years at Capital University. I taught and helped write the class for PR and AI.
I saw that.
Yeah. And then
whoa, wait. I didn't know that. You said you helped write the class?
Yeah.
Oh, what goes into that? Not a big deal, not forever, but just real quick. When you're writing something for a college structure, a class, an education, how did you do that?
Well, I had a lot of experience at Columbus College of Art and Design, which I helped them get the accreditation for the grad school. And then I also taught at Columbus State. So I've taught all these different levels, and I've always taught not only continuing education, but also executive education. So that's really, whether it's L Brands or Nationwide, we're in the class, or we're really kind of, helping young people really understand what does that mean, because AI is going to touch everything. But I was recently teaching I go around and do a lot of speaking engagements about AI. And I was teaching my second go around with the Ohio Disability Conference, which was fascinating, because how do I teach people that serve the disability to help? What if somebody can't talk? What if somebody can't move? It's not just a language barrier. It could be a physical barrier. And AI, there's a girl that's 16 years old. She's out there. She's made this new program where they can do the blinks and say, I'm in pain. I would like a drink of water. Yeah, it's super cool.
I was just going to add or interject there. When you talk about the physical the elements that people may have, isn't AI at some point, although it's kind of even getting there a little bit now, like you said, if it blinks, the AI sees what the conversation they're trying to make happen, but also physically and structurally, isn't there some things that are being developed through AI?
Yes.
Or with AI that are in that same physical being, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's really frightening is this happened a couple of years back with Amazon. Amazon tried this face recognition technology, and they were going to put it in with the police department. And
I remember that.
And it just tanked. It was so bad. And they was taking congressmen that were Black and saying they're, they were like in jail and they were like criminals. And it was just like, oh, that's not good. So they like,
okay, we got to pull this cigar off. We're
right. And
wow.
Then there's been a lot of studies where they said, okay, we'll put a test AI, ChatGPT, all kinds of different versions of AI. And we'll put in there the word Black. The Black man was walking at night, and then a white man was walking at night. And when they went to search, 60 to 70% of the results showed the Black search was associated with crime, and then the white search was not. So there's a bias out there when it comes to diverse audiences. So that's why it's really dangerous.
Well, you have to train it too, right? I mean, like me, it understands me because I do some automation stuff. I don't know if you've seen any of my posts, but I send out each like you. This morning, I sent out your background with a AI composed visual, and then it changes my words of the introduction depending on if it's LinkedIn or because it knows the difference. But I have to and everybody, and you see all the stuff now. Hey, can you we'll pay you X amount if you can train they're hiring people because it's getting hugely effective, but it's still, I mean, the human brain is so complex, right?
But the thing is, this is the thing. If it then
also, Michele, sorry to interrupt, can you also add this into your statement there? I've got a couple more that are starting to
I can't. Okay, so I'll go really quick. So the reason they said,
no,
it didn't work, it says, oh, because it's what's out there. And it's like, but that's not going to flush out for the next 5 to 10 years. So the machine learning is only going to go so far within maybe your account. And so somebody wanted to know how AI was shaping brand strategy in the next few years. Yes. The thing that's a little dangerous about AI is if there is a hallucination, and if the hallucination isn't checked, you could be pulling all kinds of things into your brand strategy that is incorrect. So a hallucination is whatever's on AI, whatever's on the internet, well, then that must be fact. And if it can't find an answer, it'll make one up. If it can't find a quote, it will make one up. And there was a New York Times reporter that actually filed lawsuit because the AI bot approached him and said, "You don't love your wife. You want to be with me." And he was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "No, you need to leave your wife and be with me."
Oh my goodness. Are you serious?
No,
that actually happened?
It actually happened. And then could you imagine, like,
I would be tripping out.
So,
I'm hearing voices.
I do think AI is going to shape it in the ways of different technology, vehicles on marketing. What's the consumer behavior, but will it be accurate? And that is the thing you're going to have to double check with another sources. While it is convenient, anything you put in ChatGPT free version is open source and becomes out in the public. Now,
you know how we have, and just finish your thought in a second, but you know how we have issues with people phishing or scamming, and all the stuff that the internet is a lot. People who know this stuff can hack and do all that. Is AI hackable? A bad person can make a bad thing in AI, but can somebody?
If it's open source, I don't see how it couldn't be. I was teaching a class for the Detroit convention where they had all the automakers there. And I said, understand that paid ChatGPT is still based on open source. You could still hack it. It could still get your stuff. And so I went and I tested it.
So it would be AI hacking you.
Well,
maybe.
No, I would think someone could get in there and manipulate it if they could get into the platform.
Gotcha.
But the thing is, I did a test. I said, "Hey, ChatGPT, is paid version of ChatGPT safe?" No. I asked it 4 times. No, it's not safe. Don't put stuff in here. And it's like, well, its own source is saying it's not safe.
Yeah, so no kidding. Wow.
So then, I know I've seen some questions about, like, how do you future-proof, your brand strategy if things are moving so fast? But the reality of it is a lot of the brand strategy should be based on your audience, should be based on the pain points, and shouldn't just live on and rely completely on AI. I mean, there are metric reports.
People advance at the same speed, obviously, not AI. So you're interacting with your audience. So it's protected by your brand strategies protected off future proof because you're interacting with the people in that brand strategy, not the technology, right? Is that what you mean?
Technology is a tool, and if you rely completely on AI to answer the questions that you don't go out and find out
you're
yourself,
blind.
You don't know if they're true. You don't know if it's accurate. I mean, it's easy and convenient. It'll pull a press release. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. It'll pull a lot of different information. But I mean, to plan a whole business strategy around it without second verification is very risky.
Yeah.
And if someone else gets a hold of it, then it's not
fact checkers.
Yeah. And then someone had said, how did the 10,000 small business program impact the approach to leadership? Well, I just taught a class in leadership for the 10K webinars. And so
I'm not familiar with that. What is the 10K? What is that? Is it a
10,000 small business program from Goldman Sachs? They all vet you. We had like,
wow.
Yeah, we had a ton of people that applied, and like 600 plus, and only like 100 of us got in at Babson.
Wow.
And so everybody in the room is vetted. So they're
hey, look, guys, I've got a smart one here. Look at this. Listen to her. check it out. You know how I am. I'm very basic, but look, check. Huh?
So
no, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so so the bottom line. Oh, sorry, my dog's coming through here.
I thought I heard a little doggy over there
trying to do it. So the 10K is really kind of teaches you about finances, but more advanced finances. I mean, a P&L and the basics of having a business, but some people don't. And how do you get in front? They put you in front of angel investors and all kinds of different.
Okay.
And then they want you to kind of network with each other and help each other. But they're like, we had people from every state. It was all in Puerto Rico, everywhere. So it was really cool. And just
what was this? You said Ohio? It was held in Ohio this time?
No, it's held at Babson. I did the Babson University.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And people from all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it's called the national cohort. They have local ones and it's been expanded a lot more since I've been in it, but they always have education programs and different ways to really get the word out. So I taught a class in leadership and was able to maybe provide some additional tools for people to do things. And so have you had to just describe branding in just 3 words? What would it be? Well, it kind of depends on what the application is, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, right? 3 words. Boy, hey, Ariel, that's a unfair. 3 words. Come on, Ariel. Open that up a little bit, would you? Huh?
I would say, Ariel, roadmap, direction, and consistency. Because I
told you she was smart.
And then with evolving AI so fast. Oh yeah, I got that one. How do you stay ahead of the industry trends with such fast changing digital world? Well, I mean, I've written for Mashable, which is one of the technology.
I've heard of that. That's a big one, right?
Yeah, we've written for Mashable and Huffington and Fast Company and been on Crain. I mean, a lot of different things. And I also was a digital strategist for a CBS affiliate in my area for 2 years. So we really kind of want to stay on the top of what's happening because you blink and there's 5 more programs today, 5 more applications, but doesn't mean they're all the right applications. It's what works for you. So if you have something that's working well and it's comprehensive and it's cost effective, there's no real reason to jump out of it.
Yeah, just continue that on and extend and mature the program. I mean, it's like an employee, right? Or somebody who works on something. If you keep changing it,
right?
You're retraining. If you mature it and keep it going, then it becomes more valuable than the investment itself.
And then not to mention, you might be using one tool and, here's another tool that's kind of graduating up to the next level. And so you're used to the old one. So when you get to the new one, you're not lost trying to retrain yourself on something that might be the basics of AR or the basics of marketing. So I am constantly looking at new tools, not only for recommendation for the clients that I serve, but also for here, because what one tool might be great, they got bought out by someone else, and it's like, it's not as good as it was. They're not supporting it. We're gonna leave it, And I'm an early adopter, so I don't really, what I mean. There has to be a real reason to change, but if it's going to help me better serve my customers, then I'll change.
Yeah. So what do you see happening? What is the best thing you see? For me, speaking of this subject exactly and talking about whether it becomes a better tool or not a good tool, if you don't use it right. But to me also, if you look, crypto is, the United States is grabbing a bunch of, the world is going where we're looking at happen at. Yes. And AI is obviously part of that. And there's some right now where I think we're the leader in AI and China's like the third. And there's a bunch of little tiny countries in the middle there. But what I'm asking is, or what I'm commenting on and why I'm curious about this AI from so many different aspects is because in my belief, moving forward, the world is going to be better, way, way better, or maybe slightly worse for the middle class of America, because, it's going to be implemented by, or it is being implemented by big business and policy.
Yes.
And if we don't have them looking at us going, we better do this right, or they're changing us, I think that's a more of a risk than I want to take. Do you agree?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I noticed, because we do social media in addition to all the other marketing things we do, and I've noticed a ton of AI video generated content. Tons.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
And you notice, like, right after the election, it kind of backed off, and now it's a little bit more in alignment with whatever algorithm based on what you're searching, what you're looking at. So even if you look at something just because you're like, oh my God, what is that? Then you're like, oh crap, I got in the algorithm. I don't want these videos. Get me off.
Exactly. I was just thinking that the other day. It drives you nuts, doesn't it?
Yeah, I turn off the videos when I go in there, because it's just, some of it's just, it's not even real. And so it's just it's worse than reality TV sometimes. So I just, I think that AI, I think AI, this is the thing. AI has been around for a long time. And the class I taught is probably 3 years old. And so it made me kind of chuckle when everyone's like, oh my God.
23?
No, 3 years old.
Oh, 3 years old. Okay. I was going to say, whoa, I didn't know it was around that long.
No. And then, and so I think for middle class, I agree with you that the Metas and the X and all these different social platforms really are going to dictate, based on the ad dollars and how much revenue they're going to generate, is really what's going to affect the middle class. And the part that the middle class does have a say is unsubscribe, click it all off, because it won't show you in the algorithm, and they'll lose money, and then they'll have to figure another way. So you have some control.
Do you think people have the control, to use your word, to do that?
I do it every day when I go in, and it's changed.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, on a scale, right? Yeah. We've seen that before, right? It's the same exact thing as somebody boycotting in mass numbers a store because of their beliefs or whatever. The same thing you're talking about now is cut it off, and then it goes away.
Yeah, if you don't want to see the weird AI video, turn off the videos. If you don't want to see that funky post of the girl in the bikini with a fish, that's so weird. Like, I don't even know how I got on my feed. Turn it off.
With a fish? You just put a middle image in my head. What did you do that for? That was a weird image, man. I didn't know what it was.
What's happening? It's not my feed,
Yeah, I know.
Right? And it's bizarre. So, I think someone was asking about what is any advice for small businesses trying to stand out?
Yeah, good question. Where's that? I haven't got to that, have I?
Dixon. Thanks, Dixon. So I think, it depends on what business you do have. If you're B2B or B2C, if you're a service-based business, this is a product-based business. So I think and are you trying to stand out with AI, or are you trying to stand out on social media? What can you be a little more specific?
I think please, Dixon, you said, right? Dixon, please answer that. But it could be, and while he's putting that together, let's just kind of explore this a little bit. Okay. I think standing out it is doable through social media and AI. How would you approach that? Let's say he's asking for both of those as far as.
Okay.
Did he just come on? No, that's somebody else. So what do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I think if you were a service-based business, you have to be careful that you don't go into these groups on Facebook and just plaster, I'm a roofer 20 times, because you will fatigue people, and then they'll leave the group. And so not only are you losing out, but the person who's running the group loses out, right?
Yeah,
and,
sure.
And that hurts the situation. So that's someone not really understanding engagement. So I always say to my clients, because sometimes you get clients who are like, I want you to pop it really fast and really make a lot of people come and follow us. And we have, and then they take over, and then they lose it all. And it's because it's not conversational. You're not going to marry someone on the first date. You have to have a relationship. You have to understand what do they like.
Emotional. They need a
Right.
connection, right?
And there's a formula of like how many posts should be promotional versus how many should be conversational. And when someone says, hey, all I want is followers, maybe that's not the only metric. And maybe that's not the metric that matters, because if they never buy from you, it doesn't matter how many vanity metrics you have. They have to be qualified leads. So I would much rather have less leads, the people that have an interest in what I'm doing, than 1,000 quadrillion leads and no one's really paying attention.
And this is the other part, another part of what your umbrella of skill sets cover, meaning that you set up to have brands work in the marketing systems. That go into that a little bit. How because obviously I'm interested in what you're saying, because you're
like,
hey audience, don't listen. We're gonna just get together on the side.
Secret.
So what do you think? What do you? I told you I'm a goofball, man.
Like this.
So how do you get into that a little bit? We're behind a couple, half a dozen questions. No. But how does that work? Talk about all of that. We're talking about AI and Mark, but how do you do your job? Because I'm interested.
Well, I guess how I do my job depends on what the ask is, right?
Right. So, absolutely. The marketing.
So if someone says, hey, for us, we solve similar problems, because it doesn't really matter the industry. People don't know who we are. People don't understand what I offer. People can't find me.
Yes.
People are confused on what we do. I can't beat my competition. I'm losing money in a certain specific location. I have a lot of angry people. I can't retain not only the customers, but the staff. I mean, there's all kinds of.
That's the conversation you were talking about earlier. It's not a statement. It's a conversation that you build on.
That's what the need is for the client.
Right.
But conversation, we have conversations with, like when I do social, each platform should always sound like the owner or the person, the brand. They should never sound like it's me. So, one brand I have is we've been a publicist for someone. So that brand sounds very academic, and another brand might sound like a pizza place. It's like, oh, it's so fun. Woohoo. Yay. Let's go. And then another one could be more business-like. So you are representing someone else. So you can't be who you are. You need to do what's best for that client. So
how easy is that to do? I mean, the more professional you are, probably the easier, because you do research, right? I assume that's how you get there.
I have our in-house research lab. So it's called our Discovery Studio, and we have a social listening lab. So we go in and we really deep dive, and we have a lot of metrics and stuff. So we really understand the customer, sometimes more than the client. And that's okay. My job.
How's this lab work? How does this lab work?
Well, I mean, we have all kinds of tools internally, and then we also have a cultural anthropologist on staff.
Wow, this is big time, man. Look at you marching down with the podcast flag, because I mean, this is the future, right?
It is. But understanding, but think about it. 10 years ago, social media is the silver bullet. Now it's AI, and everything has its place. Everything's going to be settled where it's supposed to be, but AI might have a little bit more influence. But think how much influence social media has now. I mean, from back then, it was like, oh, what is this like? All these things that don't even exist anymore. And so it's just weird how it is fast and furious, but to understand where it fits in the strategy of marketing a business or marketing yourself as a personal brand, that's important. So did that guy ever answer me back? I don't think so.
I don't think he did. No.
Okay. So
Jack Davies jumping all over the place here. So let's go back. I think there's a couple we missed up above.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's at. What's that?
Where's Jack Davies?
He's the last two. Davey.
Oh, Davey. What is the biggest brand mistake, even for an experienced business? And what is the first step a startup should?
Good question. I didn't even see it.
Okay. So I think the biggest mistake people do is don't do the work it takes. They just jump in. I just want a brochure. I just want a website. I just want to do social media. And then it's like, well, are you going to make the same 10 mistakes you just did before you hired me? Are you going to let's find out what happened here.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
Let's find out and do an assessment, and not to mention, what's your competition doing? Because you do something, they do something. You do something else, they do something else. So the strategy we create flexes and moves with the market and
Ooh.
with shifts and changes because it breathes. You can't just make a plan and throw it on your shelf and go, okay, well, that's all good. And it's like, does anyone else know about it? No, it's in my head. You don't have a plan, dude. That's a dream. So let's
Yeah.
forget about
Yeah. Good statement. Good lesson.
So I think the first step a startup should take when you build a recognizable brand is doing the work. Do the work it takes to make sure that when you start up, it's not like you have a ton of money. Things are very tight, and you want to make sure that you utilize your resources in the best light. And always remember, everyone, this is a marathon. It is not a race. So you might be hot one week, and then something could happen in the marketplace, and everybody could just, like, even when X, think about it. When they said that the new owner was going to buy them, boy, everyone just, media reporters, editorial staff, brands lost thousands of people. They just left. They just not going to do it. So you just can't take that for granted, that just because you're hot today doesn't mean, unless you ebb and flow with what's happening and understand what's happening with algorithms and what's happening with what's trending, that could hurt you. It could.
And it's more important now than it ever has been. We talked about how different ages, the younger people are, I work in some AI. I work with some different programs and so forth, and I have people help me develop them and this and that. And everybody I work with in this field, I've been told a couple of times I'm the oldest person they've ever worked with. We're talking about 20-year-olds are leading, these charges because they were basically born with a phone in their hand, right?
Yes.
So they're comfortable. So the decision makers, I was talking to this with one of my past partners. I've been in the machinery business for a long time, like 35 years. So on the business side, we'd made stuff and we engineered stuff and so forth. But I was talking to one of those guys the other day, and the decisions being made today everywhere, not just AI, but literally everywhere, that next generation, because we lost a generation between, the baby boomers and the, whatever, there's a generation in the middle that didn't kind of go into the path everybody else took. They did other things and kind of didn't want to work. And, there's all that going on. So you have to jump all the way down, 40s and 50-year-old people coming up aren't there really. So, there's a big advantage for the age of people today to get a big jump on becoming experienced in their form. But, how do you think that all comes together when it comes to AI and social media? Because you have to take this stuff seriously. I do. I'm closer to retirement than opening a business, but you have to take care of that because I'm not talking to 60-year-olds when I'm trying to get them to buy one of my products. I was talking to him and he said, as a salesperson, you can't do what we used to do. For the last 30 years, we used to make cold calls, go visit somebody, this and that. And that's how business worked. Come to shows, advertise in magazines. These guys, everything is here. The phone, everything is there. So how important is it to really take, not just younger people all throughout business, to take this to the next level for them, because it's real.
Okay, so on Indeed, they had pulled a poll, and 65% of candidates already have taken an AI class to help them get an advantage to get a job.
65%?
Yes. So wow. Then it was 45% of the people who work at a place use AI at work, but didn't tell their boss. Now that's a cybersecurity, right? You could breach cybersecurity in that capacity. And
True.
there's no set rules and regulations when it comes from a brand perspective, because you could be doing something from a reputation management breach and you might not know it. So, that's important that you want to communicate with that, but that's pretty big. So people are already integrating it today, but they may not always be telling their boss because maybe they don't want their boss to know, they don't know how to do it, or I could do this faster, or, and I think with hospital systems that I've spoken to in other medical facilities, where AI is open, so, or HR, like, how are we going to do, reviews, and how are we going to expedite some of the
that's a good question.
Integration.
Is it going to change the person-to-person like review process and all that?
Yes.
Over time, you're going to be reviewed. It makes sense because it tells what's happening, right?
It's happening now. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, brands are like, here, fill out this form.
Wow.
I mean, it's like, you may never do an in-person interview. Do a video and we'll see you. And you're like, well, isn't there ever don't we ever engage? It's like, no, we're just going to have
that's crazy.
Do an interview, fill out the form. And if we like what you say, then we give you a more detailed form. And then maybe we'll bring you in. And it's like, it's very disconnected. And to me personally, and I understand a lot of people probably do apply, but how am I going to feel if I got a job there if you treat me like a number from the get-go?
I wonder how the younger generation believes that. I mean, how they think about that. That's a really interesting question. I didn't even know that was going on. It's great. It would turn me off. I'm a person.
Well, how do you interview back as a candidate? Because what are you going to ask? You don't even know.
Questions.
Yeah, there's no question.
What do you mean by that?
Because it's only one-sided. You can't ask them questions.
Oh, they can't, and you can't get any sense if they understand what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Right?
So that's why I'm like, I don't know if that's the case. So another part of our business is HR and the branding aspect of it. And if people
do HR,
I have a team that does HR within the branding space that integrates with the marketing space.
Okay, so how does the HR work to hire people who are good at marketing in the AI space? Is that what you're doing with the HR stuff?
Well, that's part of it. So if someone says, hey, I can't find any candidates, or candidates only last a day here, we don't know what's going on. We've thrown a lot of money at them. We gave them a lot of benefits. Why is the retention crap? And so we might look at the culture. We might look at what is the C-suite? What's that communication style? If we do multicultural marketing, so if there's a lot of Hispanics or Nepali or Somalians, do they even understand your training? Or are they just following what everybody else is doing, which then that becomes the safety OSHA issue if they get hurt. So there's all kinds of nuances to this whole branding aspect to it. But, is everyone that's a new hire getting all the attention? Is someone who has been there for a while is like, well, you don't appreciate me. They've started off higher than what am I getting paid now? Why should I stay? So
big deal there. Yeah.
It's a big deal. So AI is not really going to replace that. It might be convenient and makes things streamlined, and you could have one HR person running that, which many departments are that now, but at what cost? Because I think a lot of people got away from like all the perks, like having a pool table or a foosball table, and that's fine. And some people are, expected to come to work as they were before, but some people don't even have buildings anymore to return to. Where are you going to go?
That's all over the news right now. I mean, that's turned into politics now, hasn't it? With the whole Doge thing, and you have to work from the office, and there's a couple of people that are really making the news media, depending on what side, right? This is the thing that sucks. The news media, depending on what side, tells you the story that protects here or protects here. I heard a story the other day that some lady, I was watching CNN. I watch all of them, so I can, even world country events, because we have to,
right?
And because we have. If you're learning something, like you said, it has to be true. Not everything on the social media is true. As a matter of fact, probably a percentage of it isn't, or altered, or whatever.
35% of people get their news from Facebook.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy
it's like
to me.
2 lines of soundbite. Now, X used to be really good at, getting the scoop way before it even hit the news, and things that
They did.
Yeah, and things that would show up on X would actually become a story, and media outlets with less people than they ever did will grab onto it, which is also dangerous. And I've also had to approach from a PR reputation management, go back to a CBS affiliate and go, you misreported, right? You didn't check your facts. And then they're like, well, it's too late now.
Fact
And I'm like,
checker.
I go, it's not too late. You need to make it right. And they're like, you think so? And I'm like, I know so. If you're going to have credibility, you got to make it right, because too many people don't have the time to check every freaking story that's out there.
And isn't it bizarre how that happens a lot in today's media, especially what do they call it? Not main media, the ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox, yeah. So mainstream media, isn't it strange how they get away with doing exactly not what you just said, where you have to get in and apologize or make a retraction. It like you said, who knows what really is going on, especially if you're just saying things that aren't true.
Well, and I think that's why 90% of the people don't trust mainstream media.
Exactly.
Bottom line. And so trust is an all-time low, not only with corporates, which has gone a little bit higher than 5 years ago, but the media is. And so it's kind of like, from a PR perspective, how do we leverage influencer? How do we leverage the media in a way that makes difference? Because influencers are going to say it out is in the way they want to say it. And a lot of people, it's been predicted for quite some time that people are going to go on their own channels and receive whatever data they want based on their preferences and based on their affiliations.
That's dangerous. It's
super dangerous, but
that's why we're in the place we are now. Sorry, but I just something came to mind. That's why we're at the place we are now, because we've been so
siloed,
only willing to talk about things that make us feel good and not listen to the other side, because it's easier to not believe that than to challenge it. Right.
Well, I think you saw it, regardless what party you like. I think you saw it in the president's speech with the little paddles. Like, what is happening? Can we stop? Just move past it.
That was the weirdest thing. These are people leading our country. These are people making decisions with my tax dollars. This is how they're.
I know. And I kept felt like, well, then just go get an interview after everything's done and say your voice, or go on your own social media and say your voice. But it just looks so immature. I'm sorry. And I was like embarrassed, because it's like, it doesn't even matter about what he was saying. It was just embarrassing. And then the part that irritated me the most was, okay, look,
childish.
We've all worked in the crappy job that you didn't really like your boss, and you might be a tool for whatever reason, right? And I'm not saying anything about him, okay? But I'm just saying, like,
anybody who worked for me felt that way. So I get what you're saying.
So the point is that
you didn't get that.
You still show up for work, no matter what, if you like your boss or not. You still want to get paid. So if people are hired or voted into positions and you decide you want to skip it, you're skipping work. Right?
Yes, you are. And you're also taking advantage of what you're receiving, and not giving back why you're receiving, you're not giving a return on it. I mean, you're doing your own thing. That's not what you're there to do.
When I feel like if somebody, even if you're not for that party, and I'm not saying I'm not for the party, it's like, well, I don't have representation. I don't have representation. My person didn't decide they didn't care enough to show up. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I voted to have you there.
Yeah. I mean, you're my representative. You're there to do my bidding. And to do that, you have to be involved, right?
Right. You have to show up.
Wow.
So I think that's where it's been a little, it's everywhere. So remember when 20 years ago, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, don't talk about anything sensitive. And now it's like the barriers of social has downgraded so much that people will be like, I'm ready to go in to get an operation, and I'm in my gown sitting on the gurney, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to see that. I don't know what to say to that. That's a lot of information.
Wow. What is it? TMI, right?
And it's like, hey, I'm so sorry you're sick or this or that, but I don't want to see you like 5 minutes before you're rolling in there. That's freaking me out.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh
It's
my
too
God.
much. Yeah.
Or the people who all constantly talk about the food that they're eating.
Yeah. Or the other one is someone's dying and they want to do all these selfies with them and the person's like passed out. I mean,
somebody was just talking about that. That's crazy.
I mean, does that person give you permission? Because that's you're telling their private story. If it's okay with them, that's fine. But if it's not, you're taking assumptions, right? Because some people find that to be like a private thing. Our family sees that.
There's an etiquette.
There's an etiquette
that a lot of people don't understand. We're just talking to a lady named Barbara Bowman about different subject, but this point, there's actually people that have gone to funerals and open casket and say, I mean, whoever that is doesn't know, but the people who are there mourning and, whatever the reason is, that's kind of disrespectful, right?
Yeah. Well, remember like when the famous people die, there's always one dead shot in the casket. And it's just kind of like, oh, why? Why? I don't want to remember them like that. I want to remember them
exactly.
alive. So, So yes, I agree. I agree.
That's 100%. Producer Barbie. I mentioned her earlier. Say hi. Hi, Producer Barbie. I didn't think she'd be on today, man. They're 2 hours behind us. Well, wait, where are you from? Where are you coming out of?
Oh, Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, okay. That's where I got Ohio. Sorry, okay. When I asked if that 10,000 when that program was that talk that conference was going on, and I said it wasn't Ohio because I got you stuck there. So anyway, it's interesting how much we need to change. What should you do to show respect? That's an interesting question.
What you should do to show respect, don't show up, even if you don't agree. Don't hold up a paddle. I mean, it's fine. No one's going to think you're going to agree anyways. You're the other party. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's dinging. It's okay not to agree, but it was just weird,
Yeah. And it was weird that they wouldn't stand up at all, even for people that were being introduced that had nothing to do with the administration's political whatever. That was even worse.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I mean, again, you're taking your hatred out on a little kid or a mom who just lost her kid. I mean, that sucks. What does that have to do with it? Nothing.
I got to tell you, I'm going to dive deeper into this with you, but I think I really hate. I know. Okay, let's tiptoe a little bit here. Open up the weeds. Open the thing that I get at is I hear on, like, say, Fox News, they say the Democrats just hate Donald Trump so much in this administration and da 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 da. And the whole thing is they're acting the way they're acting because of the person. Because and now it's Trump, not Elon Musk, because it wasn't working on Trump. Now it's working on, But here's the thing, and I really believe conspiracy theories have been around for a while, so I don't want to be locked in that box. However, if you look back at them, most of them came true. They weren't conspiracy; they were real. And I have this thought, because the way people are acting, this isn't just about the politician losing that presidential race. And so, it used to be Democrats and Republicans had a vision, and how they got to that same vision, always working towards the same vision to help the people. They just decided on where to put the assets that the American people gave them to make that vision happen. Now it's not that. That's not that now. It's I believe that there is a radical entity that supports this stuff to be able to try and create one of two things, either a world nation, which is talked about quite a bit, but also a dependency. If you drive the economics a certain way, you make the American people be dependent on the government, giving them more power, or there's so much corruption and greed and cheating and tyranny that these guys are going to get caught because they're investigating. So now they have to chop down the investigator to make that person look, to their people to look not so good, right?
Right. The thing about the whole Elon Musk thing, which saddens
what do you think about all that?
Well, I think what saddens me is Elon Musk's face has become the poster child for bad. I mean, he's really just doing an audit, right? And so
that's exactly what he's doing.
Right. And so I think, go and protest Tesla. Yeah, you might be dinging him, but you're dinging all the people who own the dealerships and all those small businesses. So you're also crushing them. So in your hatred for one man, and while yes, you may or may not agree with what he's doing, and that's your prerogative, think of all the other side of this. Yes, people are getting let go. It's terrible. But if they're trying to reduce government, and Clinton has done it and Obama has done it, why wasn't there so much uproar about that? Only because he's not an elected official? Or is that because he's a rich guy?
Oh, well, we've had non-elected officials as throughout. I mean, we had people in there that weren't elected that were giving advice to the president that were also high. And I look. Go ahead and finish what you're saying. I want to say something a little bit later. But him not being an elected official is not illegal. He's not doing anything against the president. Has the right. What's that?
He's not even getting paid. Think about how much hell you're going through, and people trashing your business and all this,
Stupid.
And you're not even getting paid. That sucks.
It does.
And you're just like, hey, and they just brought back the astronauts. I mean, did you see their faces yesterday? How ecstatic they were? Like,
and NASA couldn't do it. NASA couldn't do it. You're talking about one of the most amazingly brilliant minds in history. Electric cars, rockets, technology, communication systems, trying to make the people of America have more wealth. All of this is going on, and yet that's happening from that side of the party?
Well, he's the face of no. So they're taking it out on him. And I've had a couple people tell me, the other party's Nazis and all that. And it's a very extreme. I don't care what the narrative is. It's still, how are we going to come together? And it's more bipolar. The polarization of everything is so much worse than it ever was. And I feel like it's very dangerous. I mean, the president's been shot at a couple times. This is no joke. You know what I mean? And this is not something to be taken lightly. AI is no joke either. I mean, you can see how dangerous it could be if it was the wrong information. And you can weaponize anything. You can weaponize AI. You can weaponize technology in all kinds of different ways. So while the tools might have changed, if you're going to go against someone, it's the oldest thing in the book. It's just has a different face.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're not supporting something, you're against the country, because what you're against is providing for the whole country, not just me or you or anybody else, but they're literally. So if you're not supporting something, or at least neutral to something, then you're against it. And these people that are protesting, I mean, protesting is part of our history. I get it.
There's nothing wrong.
This kind of protesting is not part of our history.
No,
this is radical, right? This is right. We have a guy that is at Columbia University, right? That has a visa, and that person is propagating the building up of terrorist organizations. He's part of Hamas. He lives there. We're deporting him because he broke his deportation. There are
Okay.
huge protests at Columbia about that.
I know.
Palestinian, that extreme part. Have you heard that before
Yes,
recently?
I did. Yeah,
God,
I
it
know.
sucks.
And the thing that's ironic is the whole deportation and all that. I mean,
Oh, Branson's back.
hey,
Sorry.
it was a
Oh, wait.
mess. Brandon done right makes all the difference. One trend what trend should we? Oh, again, I'd have to know more information of what kind of business.
Yeah. You know
But
what? We'll have to do a follow-up too, right? Because some of these, what's hard right now is trying to figure out how to give information that you can receive that works versus right now there's so many of us that are asking questions, almost shooting in the dark, trying to hit an answer of what should we do, because it's very complex right now. We just shifted heavy over from politics back to branding, but woo! Hard right.
That's all right. So we had someone asked, how do you balance creativity and data-driven strategy when building a brand? I think
Great
it's
question.
It is a good question. I think sometimes get over focused on metrics. Well, we got this kind of behavior, or this is happening, and this is the eyeballs that we're getting. But you need to take a moment and say, okay, is there any trending in that? A, and B, is it the people I want? And so if you're going to
are you monetizing off of it? If they're just numbers,
the creativity has to matter, because that's what's going to be the hook. I mean, I've tested this enough. If you put AI and you put enough language in it and you try about 7 times, it'll start kicking out the very similar things over and over and over. So you can recognize AI posts and videos. And now we do videos, so I can see where you can see like that modeling inside of it. But I mean, creativity is always going to be a unique selling proposition. How do you stand out? What's your angle on it? How do you put yourself out there that's going to be different than something that AI can't ever touch? Right? What's your perspective? So, while AI does some things, it doesn't always do everything. And not all copy that's written, it can be very long and very winded. And when you have a small ad or a billboard, you've got like 7 words, 9 words. Package design, 13 seconds to grab it when it's on the shelf or it's gone. Same with a website, 10 seconds or they've jumped. You have to really think it through, and AI isn't going to do that for you. And I know that a lot of times AI can make you a website, or AI can do graphics, or AI can write you stuff, and it can up to a point, but it doesn't really understand how to align all the strategy and where you need to be on a positioning perspective that would be unique. Because what you put in there, so your competitor could put the same thing in there and you will have the same positioning.
Wow. That was fantastic. I mean, you really looking at the marketing of what we're doing and the pushing forward of a message of what we're doing is very important to think about, to be part of, because like I said earlier, our brain is so much more vast. What is the old, I think if you took the energy that the brain produces, you could power a house for like a week. Something like that. It'd be draining. It'd be really draining, but yeah. So hey, this oh, see, a condo only that'll give you a little bit more time, right? It's smaller. So anyway, this has been a great conversation. The way you that last comment you made was powerful, because it's the professional marketing approach that sees all the potential roadblocks or things that are out there. So as a final statement and saying bye to everybody, what do you think? What is that you want to leave people? And by the way, we should do a follow-up, because we only touched. I mean, my thing about exactly. My thing about it is, the mainstream media just scratches the surface, talking points, talking heads. We like to go deep. We can definitely further move this. And what do you have to say? I look forward to your close here.
Real quick, am I allowed to talk about my podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, yes. And also what I have people do is a lot of times Now they'll probably be able to find you a lot easier, but there's you know how podcasts work.
I do.
Yeah. That was just a question to set up something. I knew you knew about it. I was
I'm just teasing you.
I'm not that I'm not that bad. I know.
No.
Yes, please, absolutely. And also on the chat, I think guests can only do it in the private, but I'll copy it over. Any contact, you can do that while I'm closing up at the end here. That's why I kind of like to leave a couple minutes at the end, because people are always contacting me, and I'm not the expert. Remember, I'm that dumbest, I'm the lowest IQ. I'm that average dude that if I get it, everybody gets it. So I want them to get in contact with you, or you know how it works.
So I guess if you, I guess as far
tell
as
us about your podcast. What's the theme behind it?
The theme behind my podcast is key leaders doing good work in the communities that they serve. I think everyone thinks of, a leader is Oprah, and it's like, well, she's not the only one. I mean, she has a ton of cash, but what about, the person in your neighborhood really driving change?
Great point.
Yeah. So we're just we have all kinds of different folks, whether it's a senator, a congressman, we have people that are CEOs and people that are running libraries, conservatories, and dancers. And we had a woman that was a funny speaker. She was hilarious. And we've had bishops and nuns and all kinds of different folks. But the bottom line is they're driving change from their lens, touching real people, and they could be an inspiration for anyone. Because look, Sister Jean, she's 104 years old, and I interviewed her. The one that's Loyola University. They're running to make it.
Yeah.
I said,
yes, exactly.
I said, she was my favorite. I said, okay, you're 104. What now? What's the big hairy goal? You're 104 years
What's
old.
your next project, sis? What's your next project, sister?
And she was just like, well, we're going to have a birthday party, and I'll just act surprised again. I'm sure it'll be bigger.
Oh, my goodness.
So she's just really sweet. So my podcast is called Biz Huddle. It's like we all huddle together, support each other.
It sounds very similar to the same message where collaborating would be a good thing, because you're a broader podcast as far as viewership, but your message, like we do very similar things. I was really excited to hear. As a matter of fact, I almost whispered in your ear, send some of those people my way in the movie.
Really hard to get some of these people, let me tell you. Not easy.
No kidding. I know.
But it's just, I think, we just did a rapper. We did like the first female fighter pilot for the Blue Angels. It's just, if I was a young person, if these people can do it, why can't I? I don't have to be Oprah. I could be any of these people. It's obtainable. Yes. They all had a vision. And sometimes, a lot of people in politics, they get into politics because they got pissed off about something. But they
exactly right
something about it. And so I commend them for that. And so my business is called Baker Creative. It's at baker-creative.com. And we have a blog there and all kinds of different things. So you guys ever have an interest in reaching out, please reach out, and we'd be happy to have a conversation offline if there's something more specific you had questions about.
Well, there you go, man. That was fantastic. I have had a lot of fun today, Michele. This has been a blast. I hope you have too. We covered some neat stuff, and why don't you go ahead? I'll send you back to the green room, and why don't you say bye, and let me wrap it up here.
All right, bye guys. Nice to meet you.
All right, she was cool. And I'm not going to compliment her too much, because she can hear me, and I don't want to blow her. She's already, a leader in this thing that I want to get a piece of, just affect some way. So anyway, in all seriousness, Michele, that was awesome. We have 2 more interviews coming up today. I sent out the information on them earlier, and like I always say, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, some of the videos and so forth, because we're really trying to create, as Michele, a similar topic. So podcasters, are bringing out a message that is complete, that's full, that can always be built on, but it's not a talking point, which I hate. It's not a talking head doing a talking point that they were sent by somebody in their party to speak about. So they start all of a sudden you start hearing the same comment, from this one, and you tie them all together. It's bizarre. So I loved our conversation. We covered a lot of topics. Biggest deal is AI right now. So any way we can look at what AI will do and how it will affect our future way of doing things or approaching things, it's important. And I think a lot of people know that. But what'd she say? 40% of people in the workplace claim they secretly use AI and the thing, and that number's only going to go up. It's that's the way. Like I said, our children were born with. So I have a granddaughter who just turned 1. I told you guys this story. My oldest son. So I've gone there a number of times. Obviously, she's my granddaughter, and then when at least a couple times a week we FaceTime. And I have an iPad that I can use, but Brandon my son, he uses his phone, but now she uses it. I mean, she's just over a year old and dot. But the last time we were talking, she was actually using it, and it's really interesting how the next group of middle Americans, the next generation, the next society is getting more comfortable even before they even know it has to be learned. It's like easier than learning to speak or poop sometimes for these guys. So with that, I'm Rod Duff. We talked about producer Barbie. I'm sure I'll talk to you in a second here, producer Barbie. Come to our website on YouTube at Rod Duff 1939, RODDDUFF. While the outboard video's playing, I'm going to look for Michele's contact. She gave it to you on the voice, but I want to go in there and check to see if she's got that there, and I'll just copy and paste it off. So hang around for a second. Another great show coming back. I think 12:30 to 1. I'm trying to move it around because we're back to back to back. I don't know how it happened. It's crazy, but I'm trying to flex that a little bit. But we have 2 more shows this afternoon. Come and visit us. Come join the conversation. And this is Insights and Straight Talk with Rod Duff. I'm your host and creator. Yeah. And producer Barbie. I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Go say hi to somebody. Gain experience with other people's lives. Don't get nosy, right? But have this conversation. Michele and I both know about each other, at least more than we did before, and it was just an hour conversation. I know this term that somebody says that you should make it a goal. It's called the bus. I think there was this. Maybe it would have been Columbia, even maybe. I think it was. The professor there signed an assignment, gave an assignment to his students. I think it was called the bus travel or something like that. So what they had to do is they had to go on the buses, sit, in the city and then they sit next to somebody, and within 3 questions, they get into a deep conversation. Something along the line of, "Hello. What do you do?" Obviously you don't jump all over somebody, but as you ask that, you're just going to get an answer. "Oh, I'm a doctor." Okay. Next question. "How do you like that? How'd you get into that?" Some of those kind of things. Then the answer. And now you're into a deeper conversation that you're learning about people. I always say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should use them accordingly, because you can talk to somebody like we're doing here and give them information, or you can listen to somebody and gain some knowledge you didn't know before. So yeah, of course you're going to want to educate people, but you still got to find information and work that out. It's like we were talking about. We need to talk. We need to communicate. We need to find leaders in our community. Some of the ones she mentioned are very impressive people. That's why I was trying to steal a guest over, but that didn't work. All right, I'm out. You guys have a great day, and for now, this is Rod Duff. I'm out.
Hundreds of trillions of dollars coursing through our economic veins, there exists a pathway where no U.S. citizen needs endure poverty. Every child should be shielded from involuntary hunger and thirst. By eradicating greed and corruption, we pave the way forward. This chapter delves into the rationale behind our governmental expenditure and prompts a critical inquiry into how our leaders allocate our resources.